I'm ready to start the garter stitch section, and the instructions for that say row 1, knit 30. Repeat this row until section measures 6 inches. That means we're going to be doing the knit stitch over and over again for quite a while, which is great because it will give you a chance to get accustomed to the mechanics of that before you move on to the next thing. Before I start that, I have one more stitch to cast on so that I can achieve my goal of 30. There, that's done. And now I have a needle full of stitches in my right hand. I'm going to turn that needle and transfer it into my left hand. You want to make sure that the loops are on the top and those bumpy stitches are on the bottom of the needle. You also want to be aware of where your tail is versus your working yarn, because for the next step you're going to want to be using your working yarn and not your tail. So keep track of that. And now it's time for the second needle. You will always start a row like this with the needle full of stitches in your left hand and the empty needle in your right hand. And here is how to do the knit stitch. First thing, into this first stitch here, insert your right hand needle front to back. Make an X with the needles. Your right hand needle is in the back. And now you will take your working yarn and wrap it around that right hand needle in the back. Kind of come under, over the top, and back down again. Now pop the loop that you just wrapped through to the front. Now you have an X again, but this time the right hand needle is in the front. And the last step is to take the old stitch off the left hand needle. And now you have one stitch knit. And the goal is to transfer all of these cast on stitches one at a time to the right hand needle. So you will insert front to back, wrap your yarn around, pop through to the front with a loop, and take the old stitch off the left hand needle. It can be helpful to have a little chant to say to yourself, something like in, wrap, through, and off, and that will help you make sure that you do all of the steps required each time. And you may decide that you'd rather hold the yarn in your left hand. That is perfectly okay. You'll do all of the same things, except that when it comes time to wrap the yarn, you're going to use your left hand to do that. Through and off. And as you go, you may decide to kind of tension your yarn rather than dropping it and picking it up. And that is a fine thing to do, but it could take quite a while until you figure out how best to do that. It's pretty much a personal thing. Everyone, after they've knit enough stitches, will figure out the right way to hold the yarn.